Hello, it's Dr. Garth Fisher on The Cutting Edge, and today's guest is a man who turned his entrepreneurial drive into both corporate triumph and civic purpose. Stephen J. Cloobeck is a self-made founder and former CEO of Diamond Resorts International, which he built into a global hospitality powerhouse, spanning dozens of countries and hundreds of thousands of timeshare owners before selling the company in a multi-billion-dollar deal in 2016. Since then, Mr. Cloobeck has devoted himself to philanthropy and public service, supporting cancer research, educational initiatives, homeless relief, and disaster response. He's chaired important civic organizations, founded a crisis-oriented nonprofit, and backed numerous progressive causes. Now at age 63, Cloobeck has entered one of the most crowded and consequential races in California's modern history. On November 5th, 2024, he officially declared his candidacy for governor in the 2026 election, pledging to make California affordable, livable, and workable, to address the state's soaring cost of living, housing crisis, and budget woes. With more than 250 meetings across the state, from business owners and union leaders to educators, veteran groups, immigration advocates, and healthcare professionals, he emphasizes pragmatic problem solving over political posturing. Please welcome a seasoned business leader, dedicated philanthropist, and first-time candidate for governor, Stephen Cloobeck. Thank you for coming, Stephen.
Thank you.
So, and I've known you for a while now, and what I have known is that you're a very hard-nosed, direct, honest. You're not a politician. You make things work, you fix things, and you get answers, and I like that, and you certainly don't need the money. So this is something you're doing from your heart. I know that.
The best description I found, you gotta listen to others, which I do all the time. Being in the customer business my entire life, customer service, and always delivering equal or greater. And the consensus is unapologetically authentic with warmth and compassion. And I'll take that.
I like that. That's very good.
I'll take it.
That's very good. I have to comment on your marketing team. Okay, so if you want to find them, and we're going to hear other ways to reach them and donate, but this is CaliforniaGetAClue.com. And this is the hats that they come in different colors. And then last week I was lucky enough to get one of his chargers that I give out, put me in charge. And this is so clever. I just love this. I just think it's fantastic.
It's cute.
It's really cute.
So I'll tell you how they both came about, because I've been in the branding and marketing business and fixing broken companies. That's my expertise. And California's broken.
Yes.
It's not open for business. And we could talk about that, but in more detail. But you always have to listen to the most obvious and people around you. And I happened to be at a football game, and it was tongue in cheek that maybe I would consider running for governor of California, because I ran the tourism department of the United States, basically ran Nevada. I've legislated, I've been a regulator, I've been a judge, all pro bono, and done all these beautiful things. And at the football game, a sports broadcaster was with me, with Governor Newsom and his wife, and Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, and Jeff Ross and others. And the sportscaster said, "Hey, Cloobeck, are you really going to think about running for governor?" in front of Newsom.
Wow.
And he goes, "What's going to be your slogan?" "Cloobeck for California." And I popped off like this and said, "No, California, get a clue." And Jeff Ross got squeamish. The Governor Newsom goes, "Oh my God." And then I quickly popped off, "Somebody's got to fix your $38 billion problem."
Right.
Which really was $62 billion.
I thought it was 77, but we'll go down to 62.
Trust me, whenever I grew up as a very, very conservative Democrat, a Reagan Democrat, balance sheet, income statement. We don't steal. None of this $950 stuff. And whenever a Democrat that I've seen over the last 15 years, which was never like this before, because Clinton balanced a budget. Clinton had reinvented government and removed 400,000 people to make our federal government efficient. So Democrats used to be this way. And today, when a Democrat tells you what the revenue stream is, cut it in half. And if they say there's going to be a deficit, double it. They don't understand numbers, and they don't know their numbers. And it's so wrong.
But you do, so.
Well, and so what I did was I met over, not 250, now it's 400 people approximately over the last 16 months, doing my due diligence, because I don't want to do a terrible job. My brand's everything, my name. So I wanted to see what the issues were and are they solvable? And as I met all of the candidates that were running or thinking about running, I said, this is the best we got. Because a guy like me shouldn't be doing this. We should have succession in this state, and we don't. That's a problem. That's shame on Governor Newsom, shame on Governor Brown, shame on Governor Schwarzenegger. Equal opportunity. Because they didn't do what part of their job was, create good leaders for the future of our children.
Right, right.
And that's why I said, I got to get involved here, because I don't want my children to leave California. And I had moved back home. So I'm paying this 14% toll to come back home because there's no greater place to live.
Right.
I've operated all over the world,
Right.
doctor.
Right.
And California is a country. It's not a state. We're the fourth largest GDP in the world. We don't act like it. We're not on offense. And it was really interesting as I did this due diligence. The CEO of Chevron told me the same thing the head of the farm workers told me. Leadership was not talking to them. How can we not talk to our best customers? And that's why everyone's left.
And you're in the hospitality business, or you were, and that's why you know that that's a very vital ingredient to success.
Without that, you have no success. So going back to where California got a clue came from, and on the charger put me in charge. But my first charger just said, Cloobeck for governor. And I was in a restaurant, and the young lady that was serving us, she said, Cloobeck, you're better than that. How come it doesn't say put me in charge?
Really?
I said, Maria, it is no pride of authorship. It's all you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I changed it the next day.
Fantastic.
So you have to listen, right?
Right. That's right.
You have patience.
That's good.
You only have to collaborate with your patients as to what their desires are, right? And then you put your craft on it.
Right. Right. You got to listen to them.
And your brand's everything, right?
Listen to them. Sure. Sure.
So
I listen to my patients.
Your patients are everything to you, and that's your product. And you're judged on, that's your name. You work so hard, and it takes decades and decades to build your name and your brand, and minutes to kill it.
Right.
And that's what we got to get back to.
Right.
The customer has to get equal or greater value. No one's a voter to me. They're all customers of California.
Right.
Value.
Yes.
And if our tax dollars are not spent properly, then we're not getting value for our tax dollars. And that's the problem I saw too. The leaders think it's their money. It's not. It's our money.
Right.
And the latest and greatest is, now I'm the Donald Trump of the Democratic Party, or I'm now a Republican. They call me a Republican. I've been a Democrat my whole life since I was 18 years old.
Well, it's because you're different. You're a businessman, which I hate politics. I hate politicians. I consider them all dishonest. You're not a politician. I feel like you're a businessman. My personal, which this is not my show to tell you my views, but
it is important.
But I like that I think a businessman should be running, especially when, you look at our ledger, and we're going to go through that at the, in some part of this, that it's, as a businessman, you'd be firing a lot of people and maybe closing down at this point. So that's why we need you to resuscitate it.
You know what that's called? Performance and results. The California Department of Performance and Results. What's the acronym?
California
Performance and Results.
CPAP? CPAP.
No, CPR.
CPR. Oh, okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Resuscitate our
CPR,
You said it.
CPR.
You said it. You just led me into it.
Right. Well, how'd you get started? I mean, where'd you grow up? I think Northern California. How did all this start? How'd you start your first business venture?
It's a good question. So I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, kindergarten in Woodland Hills, grew up in Encino, went to public and private school. And I don't know if we've discussed this. I was studying to be a surgeon. I wanted to be a doctor.
That's right. I remember.
I wanted to be because my parents wanted a doctor and a lawyer. So I was going to be the doctor. My brother became a lawyer. And I went all the way through college. I worked at Cedars-Sinai for 4 years.
The heart program, I think.
Cardiothoracic research. Matter of fact, I met one of the doctors last night, uniquely, Dan Berman, famous cardiologist at Cedars. And we ran into each other last night, and I showed him, because I have a copy of an abstract we're both on in 1978 on myocardial perfusion.
Right. That's important.
It was a thallium study, and we were testing in vivo versus in vitro validation of the Varian echocardiographic 2.0, 2D. Today they have 3D, 4D.
40.
And it was unique. And he didn't keep this data. And I ran into him, I said it to him. But so my passion was always to be a surgeon. Well, what's the theme of my life? My theme of my life is service, taking care of people.
Right.
So that's kind of the theme of my life. It's just pivoted so many times. So when I decided not to matriculate to medical school, I got into law school too. Didn't go to either. Came
You
back.
almost fulfilled both your parents' dreams doing both.
I almost had, yeah. But I got tired of going to school. You should see my grades. It's a crack up. But remember, A students work for C students.
Yeah.
That is true. And university is not right for everybody. I've learned these facts because the return on invested capital is not good.
Let me say I'm here with on the cutting edge with J Cloobeck, who's running for governor of California. Go ahead.
And, I came back to Southern California because I went to school back east. And I went to Cal State Northridge to learn accounting 101 and 102. And then went to UCLA night school to listen to business law, and then ended up working in the shopping center to business. I commuted from Encino to Irvine every day for a year until I moved down to Newport Beach.
That's a long commute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was brutal. The worst day was 3 hours.
Yeah. You never know. It's going to be.
You don't know.
You
don't know. And so I learned this business, as a shopping center development business, and this company I worked for in Irvine promised me a bonus. Second year, did not pay me. I said, I'm not dealing with this. And I started my own company at 24. I built my first shopping center, replicated what I'd learned in the field in Burbank at Victory and Magnolia. It's still there on the northeast corner. It was a Chief Auto Parts and 4 stores.
Right.
And still today, there's a taqueria and a nail salon, different owners within the shop, but it's still there.
You go by and visit every
Now and again, I go to the Burbank airport, just drive by, and I've gone to the shop. It's very funny. The taqueria is very famous. And my second and third shopping centers were in Bakersfield, and they're still there.
So you built a multi-billion-dollar business with Diamond Resorts. And then when was your turning point, which you transitioned from business to public service? And, I know you were fixing a lot of companies. You've had a history of doing that.
True. So I built my first hotel at 29, actually for my father, worked for him, and he sold that company. And then after a year, I bought that company back and built out Polo Towers in Las Vegas and Marriott's Grand Chateau with partners with Marriott. And then they bought me out. And I was always involved in politics and policy. I was the chairman of the Strip in Las Vegas, all those palm trees. I did that.
Mm-hmm.
I fought Yucca Mountain. I've been an activist. But I was really conservative because Nevada, you were a Nevadan. There was no differentiation between D nor R.
Right.
Everyone pulled for the state together in the hard center. So I've always been
nice.
a hard center. And even though I grew up in California, but when I grew up in California, did you grow up here?
No, I grew up in Mississippi.
Yeah. So in California, we were the bully pulpit of the United States. As California did, the rest of the country followed. And we were the best in education, the best in innovation manufacturing, the best at entertainment, the best in travel and tourism, and agriculture. We kind of lost sight of all that. So when I grew up here, I was able to aspire. The contract was like deliverable. I was able to actually buy a condo.
Right.
I was actually able to survive and thrive. And today it's gone. So I came back to California only because I've done so well. And as I fixed broken companies, I ended up buying this really messed up company, 20 years unfixable, called Sunterra. Nobody could fix it. It had tax issues. It had team issues. It had customer issues up the wazoo. It operated in about 20 countries. I ended up operating in 35 countries, 16 languages, 6 currencies. And its financial statements were broken. The CEO and CFO were fired for cause. It went bankrupt once. Nobody could fix it. And everyone thought I was nuts for buying it. But I not only bought it, I weathered 08 and 09, the biggest financial crisis, and then bought 10 more companies. And I had to disrupt the company, but disrupt an entire industry. And the greatest trophy I got was when Marriott copied me, because I created a brand from nothing. It was a name, Diamond Resorts.
Right.
And I rebranded this failed company. and was able to not only turn it around, but turn an industry around where the others, Hilton, Marriott, Starwood at that time, which is now Marriott, Disney, Wyndham, copied me. And my CFO was so upset. They're like, Marriott just copied us on Wall Street. And I go, that's the greatest trophy we can get because I believe rising tides lift all boats. I want everyone to do well. I always believe in aspiration, and my giving has always been thoughtful. I gave money when I had no money. I always like to give.
Yeah, you've done a lot of.
And I like doing that philanthropically, and I like changing people's lives, and I love seeing everyone do well. I never imagined I'd do this well financially. If I made a couple $1 million, great. Not to the extent I did, but if you build a good brand and put in hard effort and risk capital, you get rewarded, and as you should, because you took risk. And as long as you took care of your team and took care of your customers, and they got greater value than they bargained for, everyone wins.
Right.
So I was tasked, while I was fixing this company, I was tasked with creating the tourism department of the United States. Clinton tried it, failed. Obama and Harry Reid got this on, and I was chosen to run this along with Disney, United Airlines, Amtrak, State of California, New York, etc. And the return on invested capital was pegged at 5-1. When I got done, it was 40-1.
Wow.
And I gave the trophy to President Obama.
What was involved in that initiative?
Well, that initiative was, so after 9/11, we closed our borders to protect the United States, and the tourism international visitation to the United States shrunk to almost nothing. So this is an industry that's so important to the United States because we do so well with others visiting us here. And, you know, you could statistically look at the folks from Europe would spend approximately $1,000 a week. The folks from Brazil would spend $2,000, and the Chinese were spending $4,000 a week.
Right.
So who should we market to?
The Chinese.
The Chinese.
Right.
And we had to create a brand. And I remember sitting down with all these great companies, Disney and Amtrak, and they were like, well, let's go hire Boston Consulting or McKinsey to come up with a name, because it was called the Travel Promotion Act of 2009.
Okay.
So they came back with their requests for proposals, RFPs, $500,000, it was $1.5 million to $2 million to come up with a name.
And you could have just done that then, or you did.
I did. I sat in front of them. I'm like, hey, folks, you're the chief marketing officer of United Airlines, and you're the head of Disney parks and cruises. You're telling me that we can't come up with a name? I said, what's the best brand in the world? Duh, United States of America.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
Well, we could talk about that.
I was thinking more retail, but okay.
No, brands. If you look at brand names, how powerful is a brand name? You can't get better in the United States with regard to its consistency, reliability, and aspiration. So I said, why don't we just call it Brand USA? Save $2 million. That's how simple it was.
Right.
It's usually a simple solution. We overcomplicate things.
Well, what took your philanthropy further? And then, you know, at some point you switched on and said, I need to do something in politics,
Well, that's
particularly for California.
Well, that's interesting. So I changed laws in many states, in many countries. I was a regulator. I was in charge of boxing and
Nevada.
UFC.
Remember that?
Which is the largest athletic commission in the world. And so that means I was a regulator because I was in charge of all the fighters, all the promoters. I signed all their licenses. I had to make sure everything was safe and for the integrity of gambling in the state. And the attorney general worked for me in the highway patrol. And I had indictment power. And I was also a judge once a month. I would hold court because I would suspend or ban bad actors.
Right.
And the one thing I made it very clear to everybody, I was known as the Cloobeck Express. Don't bust my trust. Don't lie to me. Integrity.
Right,
Huge.
right.
Integrity is a big deal. You have to have integrity. You bust my trust, you're done with me. And I'd let everyone know. The Cloobeck Express is the first class is champagne, caviar, a movie, and a massage. And if you're in front of the train, you're pick mist.
Yeah.
Pick mist. You know what that is?
I can imagine just evaporated.
It's a military
Incineration. Term. Incineration.
Yeah. It's when a sniper hits you square in the head.
Yeah.
So, but that's a little caustic. But I mean, just don't bust the trust. We have to have integrity. We have laws. We got to follow the laws. And we have so many politicians today. Unfortunately, I didn't grow up this way. That think they're above the law, and I hold everyone equally accountable. That's why you've seen I've sued Antonio Villaraigosa and I've sued Chad Bianco. They both violated the law. They think they're above the law. No one's above the law. As a leader, you have to follow the law.
I think trust is the most important currency in any relationship, whether it's business, spousal, friendship, whatever it is. And that's one of the biggest problems I feel like are in politics today is corruption, which I want to, touch on with you also at all levels. So at some point, what made you decide I want to run for governor of California?
Well, I interviewed every single candidate because I've been a donor for 38 years at that time. And I interviewed so many of the candidates to be on both sides. Had them for lunch, dinner, chatted, and no one had solutions. They didn't even know what the job was. So I said to myself, this is crazy. A state of our size not to have succession or have those that even didn't even know what the job entailed. See, a good governor needs to teach, coach, counsel the Senate and the Assembly, fix the balance sheet of the state to make sure the customers of California get equal or greater value, run efficiently, be transparent, know their numbers, know the receipts. Well, we don't know the receipts from COVID fraud. That's like $30 billion. That's our money. Where is it? How about if I give a 10% bounty to everyone who tells me where the money is, our money? And same thing with the homeless money from the state level. And then you go down into the cities, Los Angeles, $2 billion, just no receipts. Inexcusable.
Palisades fires.
Oh, the fire, Eden, Palisades fire.
The train system.
The train to nowhere.
Yeah.
The train to nowhere. California's a train wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no one's calling bullshit on this. It's our money.
Right.
And we got to hold these folks accountable because it's too beautiful of a place to let it squander. You got kids. I got kids. We got to show up. If we don't, shame on me. I mean, I could just sit on the sidelines and just, do nothing, but I need a job. So
you don't need a job, but I'm personally very glad you're in this race.
I'm unemployable. So,
yeah.
But I say that tongue in cheek because I'm so passionate about the kids and I'm willing to serve. And I've run in, even with Donald Trump, I call him that because I've sat on the other side of the table with him. I chose not to build the Las Vegas Tower with him. And I let Hilton do it because we just didn't see eye to eye. We're just different. We both have charisma and bravado. We both done reality TV, but I like to serve. He likes to be served. He gets it, but he goes too far. I mean, when he gave that great RNC convention speech, I got to give credit where credit is due. The first 11 minutes were epic. He should have just ended it with fight, 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 and dropped the mic. But he went on another 35 minutes or 40 minutes. So and everyone around him, we've been around him, was just like, stop. You got it. Just don't take it the next level. And, when you're sitting with leaders, world leaders, Zelensky, for example, why do that on national TV? Why expose us all to this anxiety in reality TV? Do it behind closed doors. Right. You get the same thing done.
No, I agree with you. I think you have to be presidential, and everybody has to have public decorum, no matter who they are. And there's ways to do things without diminishing.
So I'm trying to get involved here and be non-political. And when I talk to friends, I always open it up to Q&A and listen. And I never let anyone, hey, I'm like rah-rah Democrat, because I'm not progressive. I am not that party. They want to throw stones at me, and the ultra-right wants to throw stones at me. So when I speak with a group, I say, okay, so I said there was no political agenda here. Which party do you think I am? And it's crazy. So it's usually 50-50. They think I'm a Republican or a Democrat. They don't know. And that's what it should be.
So if
I'm a Californian.
But you're classified now as a Democrat?
Not classified. I've always been a Democrat, so I'm loyal to who I have always been because I can't flip parties.
You're trying to reframe it
the way it used to be. The way it used to be. And hopefully I'm not pushing a rope uphill, but I've got to try to bring down the vitriolic language for our kids. We should be able to discuss, debate, non-confrontationally, and work together collaboratively.
Right.
To come up with a great result for all of us. And when we did all this polling, because I did a lot of polling, I'll never move forward without talking to the customer. The customers of California want the hard center, pragmatic, but there's no voice. There's no voice. And when I decided to consider this, all of my friends, our friends, they said, Cloobeck, why are you doing this? You don't need to do this. Are you crazy? And they know I'm a little bit crazy, and you know I am too, but good crazy. I'm doing it for the kids, for us. I've got the time. I've got the experience. I have solutions. I have no agenda other than rolling up my sleeves and being transparent and collaborative. And I'm trying to get us to the next level after this boomerang. And look, Obama started it.
Yeah.
I'll just call it the way it is. He started it, and then it boomeranged the other way, and then boomeranged back, and now we're boomeranging another way. We got to get out of this cycle of boomerang.
Well, you're getting a lot of traction. And this is Dr. Garth Fisher with The Cutting Edge. I'm here with Stephen Cloobeck, who is running for governor of California in 2026. He's getting a lot of traction, and people need to hear his views. And I know you're running with the slogan, Make California Affordable, Livable, and Workable. And what's the first step to making that real?
Open it for business, because we're closed. We got to open California back up for business. So when you're doing that, we've got to look at the structural issues. When you say it's not affordable, livable, workable, what does that mean? There's a lot of things underneath that. So you've got branding, sub-branding, and then actual solutions. So the solutions are to grow our great exports. Like I said previously, not in any order, agriculture, we feed it 50% of the United States. Mm-hmm. So we've got farm workers, conditions, quality of life. I found that, if you can believe this, there are farm workers that go to a food bank to get food because they can't afford to eat. In what world do farm workers need to go to a food bank? So most of the farming communities in the Central Valley and just south, there's a city by the name of Arvin, California. It's about 25 minutes south of Bakersfield. And I'm fluid on all 58 counties, by the way, because I grew up in the north in the summertime in Sanger, California, which is the central part, just underneath Mammoth, Yosemite, and then Willits, California, in Mendocino County. And hired Nat and Humboldt, Shelter Cove. My father had land projects, but we've got this dysfunction in the state. So we've got to grow the travel and tourism, innovation, manufacturing. We got to talk about bridging out of oil to cleaner ways, but we've got a lot of oil here. We've got timber here in the Northwest that hasn't been touched in 15 years. And you know what? It hasn't even been deforested, so it's actually causing us a bigger problem. So it's causing us harm, and we're not even deforesting properly and using this great export lumber, which we have in the Northwest and the central north of California.
More than anywhere, probably.
More than anywhere. I mean, we had the greatest timber industry. All the logging that was done up in Mendocino County, in Ukiah and Willits, and so we've got all these great exports. We've got oil. Okay, we've got a problem in certain areas, but those we can't do any worse than it is. So let's get all the oil we can out of there to lower our gas prices. Over the last 10 years, there have been an increase because of laws on laws on laws and regulations on regulations that come from laws, which lead to full-time government employees of the state. 45,000 new employees in the state over the last 10 years. That's over $6.3 billion. Mm-hmm. It's our money. What are you doing? Yeah. What value are we getting?
As a businessman, it must make you cringe to look at all these numbers.
It's fixable, though.
Yeah.
But it's going to take somebody that can disrupt, who has disrupted, who has fixed broken, because we're broken. And there's not one candidate, I'll tell you right now, that I would trust with our life safety, police and fire, funding it properly. During the fires in Los Angeles and Eaton, I went into different fire stations because I was out serving. I wasn't on TV. And I went to fire stations. They don't have washers. They don't have washers and dryers. That's like farm workers having to go to a food bank. In what world do firefighters not have washers and dryers?
Right. They need things there.
Come on. We got to take care of first responders first. Mm-hmm. Who signed the front of a check that's running for office? Who's fixed broken? Who can deliver performance and result? Who's not compromised? They all have issues. Those who got us into this mess are not those that will get us
They get
out
us
of
out.
this mess.
Exactly. I don't know where it all started that, these politicians or attorneys became the people running for office. I've always liked the idea of somebody running it as a business. I think that's a very important.
They were battlefield promoted,
Yeah.
and we let it happen. How did it happen? We let it happen. Shame on us.
Mhm.
Don't say that side or this side. None of that. We all did it.
We all did it.
And we
For
got
sure
to
we
we
did.
got to we got to recognize the only way we get out of it is if we fix it. You got to show up. And if the young adults want to have an aspirational California, they're going to have to show up and vote. They're going to have to understand civics, and they have every right, like each one of us that votes over 18, that's registered, not those that aren't citizens. I've never heard such a thing. You can vote if you're not a citizen. Give me a break. It's just fundamentally wrong. And I believe in voter ID checks. Yeah, a Democrat just said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see your ID when you vote.
Right.
Maybe even your thumbprint
Be
to
nice.
double check. I mean, this is just so easy. What's
Well,
the
like
fight
if-
about
What
this?
if 20 people come from any chooser country, whether it's Great Britain or, anywhere in Europe, anywhere from Africa, and they walk in across the border and they vote the next day? What gives them the right to do this?
How about this? You know what gives them the right? The silly leaders that we elected that are giving away free vouchers for food, free homes, free education, and free health care. How about taking care of family first?
Yeah.
When our family is taken care of and everyone has eggs, bread, milk, cheese, affordable gas, then let's have sane and humane immigration. I come from an immigrant family.
We all do.
Of course we do, but my grandfather followed the laws.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care who you are, just follow our laws. And if you break the law, you're here on a license. It's a privilege. You get your day in court. But if you're a bad person and violated our laws, bye.
And if you're not, stay here and work.
No, just show up. No, add value.
You just come up, become a citizen and work and do the things that you do.
Yeah.
So I came up with a complaint list. And I want to go down the 5, and then, we're going to have plenty of time to discuss it. But I thought that for me, let me get a glass of water first.
What is your complaint list?
My first and biggest problem is corruption on both sides, anywhere, everywhere. People taking money instead of doing the right thing, and that's a part of dishonesty. We talked about where's the money going. That's a big part of it. If you take any one or two of these and you just solve one or two of them, the rest, sort themselves out. For instance, the corruption probably wouldn't need as much taxes. Taxes might go down because we're using the money the right way. People know where it's going. But I would say corruption's one. Taxes, we got the highest state taxes. We got the highest gas costs, highest gas taxes. Where's it all going? Crime, people feel unsafe. I know in the last 10 to 20 years, it's changed. It's different. You don't walk down the street with the same confidence. And even when you get caught as a criminal, they're not, adjudicated the right way. They're not processed. They can, commit murder. They can steal a lot of stuff. They come in, they're gone, 5 minutes later. Homelessness is a big project that needs to be solved. And there's been millions and millions of dollars thrown at this in some way. I haven't seen a change. I know my taxes have gone up. We've had to pay every one of these propositions and, the home sale tax, the luxury estate tax, all these things.
These are Los Angeles issues. Some of them you're talking about.
But nothing's happening. Nothing's happening in Los Angeles. I don't know where the other, I'm sure. And so
I can answer for you.
So I'm giving you my list. And
keep going. Okay. Keep going.
And then I think that, I think there's unvetted people. Obviously, I believe anybody should be able to come in the country. Just let's know who they are. And they should be proud to be here and be an American citizen. And if they're picking blueberries, perfect. If they're selling Scotch tape, if they're a doctor, whatever they're doing, it's great. Let's just want to know who they are and where they came from, so to make sure we can sort out people that might not be good for our country. And then the last thing, which I would be depending on you because you've got such a great business background, is, when you look at so much money in this state and it's just flooding out of here, leaving, you're losing the money on that ledger. But then you've got all these different people that are just hanging out, wanting money and paying all these, different, amounts of money to different people for, whether it's food, housing, credit cards, all this other stuff. I mean, how could you look at that ledger and see that that's going to be sustainable? So all these are really huge things. And I would think that a football coach taking over a team that's 0-15. It's like, you sure you want to do this? You've been on Super Bowls for the last 10 years. And, it's a big project, Steve. It's a big,
Well,
this is a big thing.
That's what's interesting. It's this is good, Doctor, because I do the crazy stuff. If they tell me don't do it, I'm going to do it. I'm proven and successful at fixing the most broken. So it doesn't scare me anymore. If I was 45 years old, I could not do this because I wouldn't have the experience to do it. And if I didn't have the experience to do it, I couldn't do it either. And that's the conundrum with the other candidates. And that's why I'm here, because I shouldn't be here, like I said. But everything you just talked about goes to what the customer of California is really yearning for. They want respect out of their leadership, responsibility, respect both ways, responsibility both ways, and results. Results. So where do the problems exist? Locally in Los Angeles and statewide, you have the lack of execution because the lack of training. We haven't hired executives with experience. We have no accountability. It's our money. They think it's theirs. Where
Right.
are the receipts?
Right.
And are the receipts with proper backup and two-party sign-off? So it's not corrupt. And are we enforcing our laws?
But how can you make it accountable? How can you make these changes?
What leaders do actually have that responsibility. That's our obligation. We're just not holding them accountable. We, the customers of California, the voters, are not holding our leaders accountable, and we've elected the wrong people. It's our fault. We're all yelling, screaming. Remember Network? Had enough. I can't take it anymore.
Right.
Remember that great movie way back when? And there's another good line from A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth.
Right.
These are two appropriate lines today because it's true. So, okay, we're all talking about it. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I'm not going to self-fund this. I'm not here to save everybody.
No.
I'm here to show everyone I'm doing my due diligence, telling you the facts. And if you believe the facts, because I think they're undeniable. Look, a Republican cannot get elected in California today. Those are facts. I don't care what anyone thinks or believes. That's an emotional response. If you are truly a belief that there's no respect, responsibility, and results, there's no execution, no accountability, no enforcement of the law, those are facts. So a Democrat's going to get elected. Do you want an ultra progressive or do you want a conservative Democrat that acts like a Republican? What do you want?
Depends on what side of the fence you're on.
Well, no, you really can't have that choice anymore. You can't. If you want to have our children aspire and do great things in this state and have an opportunity to survive and thrive, there's nothing but the middle of the road. So who are you going to vote for that's in the middle of the road that can be elected? It has to be a conservative Democrat.
That's where we're getting your word out.
I know and I appreciate it. I'm grateful, but these are facts. And we will all decide. Look, I hope everyone understands this is the 911. This is the emergency. And it's not a joke. It's real. And God help us all.
One of the problems is there's, people that are so young, they don't really remember what the good time was.
Well,
And
they
so
haven't
they
been
think
taught
this-
civics.
Yeah, this is just
No,
what they
the question
expect.
is, do they understand civics? Do they
Right.
understand their vote matters? They have a voice, they have a vote, but do they know that voice needs to be translated into a vote? Because I can tell you that most folks, the primary voter in California is down to like under 30% participation. And y'all have to participate.
We can find you again at,
California, get a clue, CLOO.com.
and where can people donate to you?
CaliforniaGetAClue.com and $1, $5, $10, $100, up to $39,000.
Fantastic. I think now is a really important inflection point for everybody in California, especially the young people. This is their future. And, I'd like to hear you again go through what your plans are to help California, the important viewpoints that you have.
It's so important, and this is really why I'm doing this for my children and their friends, because I want to be their mentor. I want them to do well. So we have to open California back up for business. We're going to change human capital, human resource law, so we can actually operate here. So we don't have so many laws and regulations, and we're efficient, and we deal with performance. People have to get up early, stay late, go to work with a runny nose. I believe in DEI. Can you believe that?
What's your acronym?
Discipline, education, and integrity. I
right.
told the chancellor of UCLA that last night. I was with him, and we have a new chancellor of UCLA, and he's great.
Okay.
And he gets it, because I've been on plenty of college boards and sit on endowment committees, and I believe in discipline, education, and integrity. No free lunch. No free lunch.
I know you are. This is a big hill to climb, and you're really wanting to institute a lot of change, which is going to be very tough to do. And I see you as a person who is hard nosed enough and successful enough that you would be a person that's capable of doing it. And I think that you're kind of eliminating all the other things that make it harder for people when they're politically, compromised or anything else, and you don't have that, which is really great. Um, so I'm happy that you're running for governor, and
Doing it for us.
yeah,
And I'm doing it, rolling up my sleeves, serving. I'm having a good time. I have more good days than bad days. But, look, I just don't yell at me,
right.
because I'm going to say I can't hear you. I mean, we got to stop this on both sides. No emotion, please.
Well, talking about that, you have a good life. Now you're running for governor, and there's been a recent, very horrible shooting that took place in our country. How does that change? When you're looking at politics and on the campaign trail, how does that change your view, or uh, does that put a little bit of a different edge on how you're behaving, how you're covered, how your security works, or anything like that?
I have a lot more security, but it did give me pause. It's a good question, Doc, because I don't have to do this. And there will be a point where, if we can't build a coalition of us together, collaboratively, I'll just wish everyone a good day and said that was an interesting journey, because I don't need to do this. I can bow out any time. I'm not looking to be prom king. I don't need a trophy. I'm trying to do this collaboratively, but we have to do it together. That's why I'm not self-funding. I need donations. I have money alongside, and I've shown up. I've done the homework. I'm willing to do the work, but I can't do it alone. And unfortunately, when Charlie Kirk, who I've talked to before, and God rest his soul, that is inexcusable. But so was the Minnesota violence with the state senator.
Any violence.
Any violence. It's just, I don't believe in hate. I don't believe in hostile environments. And I will fight to make sure that people are taken care of. We're not censored. We have freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to get rid of the emotion. These are just facts. I'm just delivering facts. I have nothing to gain. And I want our children and those that live in this beautiful state of California to survive and thrive. And right now they can't. And those are facts. And it's got to be unemotional. And we together need to do this as Californians. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. Enough of the hardcore nonsense. Do you want to survive and thrive? Yeah, of course we've got to reduce the cost of gas. But how many billions of dollars are we spending to make the environment this much more clean?
Right.
I do want the environment clean for our children, for the future of our kids, but at what cost? To the point where we can't afford to live here?
Well, and then, who knows if China's going to change their way,
There you go.
Yeah.
Next point. India, China.
Yeah.
So if you look at the population of California and what we could do with the dollars, our dollars, we're like 0.005% of the world. So we can't control China. California can't control China. So how much money are we spending to impact the value we're receiving for our dollars? At what cost? I grew up here in the San Fernando Valley where you could not see the other side of the valley. Mm-hmm. The smog was that bad. And believe me, California is super clean, other than our freeways, which I don't understand either. Why Northern California has clean freeways when Southern California doesn't when it's Caltrans. I mean, there's so many questions that are so easy to solve to me as a business leader that solves solutions. Because we've got people that we've elected in office that don't understand unintended consequences.
Well, one of the consequences was pushing everybody into the electric vehicles. And I had one also, and a lot of people are buying these, and now they're finding that they've lost a lot of money because they're not paying gas taxes because they got the electric vehicle, so they're trying to make up the revenue stream that was lost from that.
Well, because they didn't tell you when they sold you the car, the fine print of what was going to happen in the future, i.e.,
Have to pay.
well, no, let's start with depreciation.
Right.
When you buy a typical car, it is worth something at the end of 5 or 10 years. When you buy an electric vehicle, it has negative value because you got to replace the batteries. The car's worth zero, and it's going to cost you another $12,000 to $15,000 to get a new battery. They didn't tell you that. They also didn't tell you when there are enough electric vehicles sold and there's not enough gas tax collected, who's going to maintain our freeway system?
They're going to charge electric vehicle owners.
That's right. They're going to charge you a mileage tax.
Yeah.
They didn't tell you that either.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
No, it's not.
But these are unintended consequences, and this is when business leadership is involved. They give you transparency, and they teach, coach, counsel those that are creating these crazy laws. I've never seen so many laws and regulations in my life when I did my due diligence.
It's going to be hard to undo those laws. That's a big project.
No, we together. No, everything's fixable, doctor. Everything's fixable. Otherwise, we should all just give up. And what's the other result? Socialism? Please. If you like socialism, go move to Russia or China. If you like Sharia law, go live in the Middle East. Don't put any of these concepts and thoughts on American capitalism, please. We're patriots. We've all assimilated in this melting pot. Assimilate.
Right. You're so inspiring, Stephen.
It's fun.
It's great. I'm glad you're doing this. And when you told me that you were running for governor, I thought that's fantastic. Because I just look at you as somebody that gets stuff done, and you're no nonsense. And
well, I respect you.
I trust you, and that's a big thing. And I don't trust politicians. They'll say anything, they'll answer anything.
And you know what? When I grew up, doctor, politicians were revered because they were stoic, they had thick skin, and they liked people. You know what I've found from the folks that I'm running with, and they're nice people, don't get me wrong, but they're thin-skinned. They don't tell the truth. They have no experience, and they hate people. I'm like, what are you doing?
Right. Because it's a business model. It's a business model, running for politics. And if you look at people on $150,000 salaries worth $300 million, years later or whatever, they're just across the board on either aisle. It's just something that happens, and I just. That is one of the most abhorrent things abhorrent.
No one in office should be involved in business while they're in office. Should not be able to invest in the stock market. You should have clean hands, blind trust, turn over your tax returns, and you should be doing it for the right reasons. But look, they're not even paid well for what they're doing.
No, they should be paid more if they do it right.
And then they'd be aligned.
Yeah.
With our money.
Right.
They'd be aligned. So they end up making bad decisions that are not in our interests, the taxpayer.
Yeah, that may be a good solution. Raise their salaries, but give them some really strict laws to work in.
And by the way, if you don't do a good job, you get docked.
Right.
Performance. Get them aligned with our money.
So I think I know your view on this, but for a biological male to compete in a female sport, you're against that, I suppose.
Well, remember, what did I study?
Medicine.
Yeah, genetics. I took genetics in biology.
Right.
You did too.
Yes.
God, so XX is XX and XY is XY.
Why?
Do you know any drug that changes that? Do you know any therapeutic that changes that?
No.
Oh, good. Well, we just answered the question. So XX does not compete against XY, period. Okay?
Got it.
I don't know what to tell you.
So if you're elected to California, describe how your leadership would be described 4 years, after hopefully not after 4 years, but how would they describe your leadership? What would you think your style would be? And I think you started with a very important description in the very beginning. You said,
it's simple. The way I am will be the way I always will be, which is unapologetically authentic with warmth and compassion. Straight. Integrity. No one's perfect. If I make a mistake, I'll raise my hand and we'll fix it quick. And I'll listen to the customers of California and give them equal or greater value. California will be open for business. And that's the fiscal policies. We'll make sure that we do public-private partnerships. We're efficient. We have charitable organizations that are certified. We'll find out where our money is. We'll be able to execute, account for every penny. We'll enforce our laws. We'll clean up our streets because the Supreme Court says we can clean up the streets. But our cities have not done it. I will enforce those laws.
And why do you think they haven't done it?
They're weak. They're not woke. They're weak. You need brass balls. Just do it. What are they? They're worried about their next cycle of life. My cycle of life is my moment now, and I'm judged on my results. And that's my customer getting equal or greater value. It's so different, and no other candidate has this. It's unique. And I'll be judged on that. And if I'm really good as a leader, I will create good leaders for the future of California. And that's the true judge of being a good governor.
It is. It's kind of like it's like a coaching tree, you know. When you look at Bill Belichick's, Lombardi's, or Sean McVay's, and they have all the coaches that come out of that tree. That's what you want to do as a politician, having people, you know, following your lead and wanting to be like you and hold those, hold those values that you held.
I'm going to sit back in the theater and clap for my team and go like this.
Yeah.
Bravo, guys.
Exactly.
Guys and girls, good job. Sit back as a good mentor and go, okay, I did my job. Great leadership for the future.
Right. So let's fast forward to election night. If you get elected, which we hope you do, what is going to be your message to all your supporters?
We did it. There's a future for all of us in California. Those that created this mess are no longer with us, and we have a bright future. We have a pathway for aspiration. We have a pathway for sane and humane legislative success. We'll be back open for business, and we'll see that you don't have to be a politician to get great results and be the good steward of our money.
Well, I know this whole election, cycle campaign trail thing has been a great compromise for you, but I'm sure there's been things that you've really enjoyed. The people. I mean, what
I
have
met
you?
some great people. There are actually a lot of great hidden leaders in California that have not elevated themselves or not been pushed forward because they weren't part of the institution, the system. And there's a lot of bright, shining lights in our state. And when you come in with a fresh set of eyes, you get to explore this and expose these great talents. And there's hope for California. Are we willing to make the change?
I'm here, Dr. Garth Fisher on the Cutting Edge with J Cloobeck. He's running for governor of California. You can get him, reach him, donate for him at CaliforniaGetAClue.com. Thank you, Stephen, for coming. Thank you, Stephen Cloobeck, for coming. I really appreciate it. And good luck to you.
Thank you. Love you.
Okay.